This week, boys and girls, we will be drawing a peacock to continue with our 9-week segment of animals and insects. And this is a peacock that we had done previously before. And we used to take and do the background with watercolor because it was crayon resist and would not, the watercolor would run off of the colored parts and it would only color the background with the watercolor. Because of it being crayon resist, the wax and the crayons would cause the watercolor to not stick to only just the paper. It wouldn't stick to the crayons. But we're not going to be able to do that this year because you guys are at home, and I'm pretty sure all of you may not have watercolors. So we're just going to focus on the drawing. Now, to draw our peacock is, of course, we're going to be using some imagery, which would be to draw our peacock in a way that makes him look different and ironic. But peacocks are generally these colors, or very, very, very bright, shiny, shimmery blues and purples, especially very shimmery blues. But first, I want you to start with his head, and his head is just almost like, kind of like a sideways ice cream cone, but just a little different. It's a little smoother around. So just start at a point and go up. And of course, I want you to use a pencil first. And don't forget, it doesn't matter what kind of paper you use, as long as you get the assignment done and get it turned in. And once we have the ice cream shape and brought it up and around and back to the point, we're going to draw a curved line for a beak. And then for the top part of his head, we're just going to take a line and kind of curve it back at the end. And the bottom part of his head, another line, curve it up towards the, and then we're going to give it just a pretty basic eyeball shape, which is kind of like a football shape, but we're going to take that back point and bring it on up a little bit extra. And then you're going to put the round parts in there for the eyeball. And then another round shape in the center for an eyeball, for his pupil and his eye. Now, we're going to worry about the body of the peacock first. The main body, because peacocks have really big feathers that they walk around with stuck out. And not all the time, but most of the time they have them flared out. So you just bring a curved line down and from about midways your cone shape for the front and bring it out and down, and another line down. And then we're just going to put these like upside down U's in here for the textured look of the feathers that grow on their body. And then we're going to add some more feathers. These feathers don't stick out quite as much as the really big, long ones do on their tails that flare out and span out behind their body. You're just going to take and put almost like a raindrop type shape under every single like little humped up bump place. I'm going to do the same thing starting at the back of his head and coming down. And then put your teardrop shape everywhere you have one of those bumped up parts. Now, peacocks have these really, really long feathers that, like I said, that they can take and spread out and fan out behind their body. They're kind of connected to their behinds. So we're just gonna make them take top of them, make them in a heart shape, because they do have kind of a funky shape at the top, which reminds me of a heart. So I'm gonna do like a heart shape, and then they have these really, really thin feathers that look like they're just flying off and wiggling all around. You can just add some extra little lines for detail if you want. And we're going to do this all the way around with as many as you feel like you can fit. And another one. We're just going to keep on doing another one again and again all the way around. Because they have lots and lots of these feathers attached to them, that so that when they spin them out, there is tons of them, looks like. And those hearts again. One heart inside of another heart. And now, however you need to turn your paper, you may do so that it is more comfortable and easier to draw. And we have 3 more left. I usually generally try to put one, at least 2 coming out of his head and 1 on every single one of those humps. And we've got 3 humps left to go. As long as I can fit them in there on each one of them. This is why you need to make sure you draw big enough so that you can fit everything on there. Got out of the lines. And then you can pretty much, like I went over the colors with you, which is pretty much, peacocks are pretty much mainly blue and green and purple. But you can choose whatever colors you would like. Whatever your imagination comes up with for your peacock that you like. And you're just going to color every other, starting with his body, every other section of it in different color. We're going to try not to put the same colors right side by side, so let's start with purple here. Green here. So that way those colors stay mixed up. It's kind of hard to keep them completely mixed up. Whoops. I'm gonna fix that. Just go over it. So you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. You want to try to make sure you keep those colors mixed so that all of them aren't, the same colors aren't stuck right on top of each other every time. And we just color that in until we have filled it up. With our chosen colors. Now, for his head, I'm going to color the top part of it blue. And like I said, you can switch these colors up however you want. And then I'm going to color the bottom of it blue. And here I'm going to do some blending. I'm going to blend some purple and green into the middle part. I'm going to stick some blue right in here, the white parts of his eyes, but I'm going to leave these two parts white. And of course his beak needs to be colored. And we'll of course color his beak orange. And for the feathers out here, the more smoother ones that are up against his, more up against his body, the whole outside of them is going to be colored green. Again, you can use whatever medium to color with you want that you have available to you. Markers, coloring pencil, crayons, whichever. And those little teardrops on the inside. Just every other one, the opposite color of the feathers. The outer feathers right here that we're coloring. And skip every other one. Then come back in. Every other one purple. After doing the other two blue. Now, all of these on the outside, I'm going to do those purple and green. But I'm going to switch every other one that I get to from the outside circle, the outside heart to the inside. Outside, Then the next one around, inside, outside, and inside, and then outside again. Inside, green. And you can choose whatever colors you want for this.
Egyptian time.
But it makes it stand out more if you do every other one, outside and inside like I'm doing. Now I'm going to take my orange because I had orange. And I'm just going to kind of highlight or go back over. Yours will be easier to go over just using pencil. Just going to go back over and highlight these feathers. These really, really loose, flowy, thin feathers to give them their own special colors. I'm going to do the same thing up here. And you can, if you want to, go around the tops of yours. I'm just going to give it some highlights at the top. It's entirely up to you. Now I'm using, because remember I said these feathers are very shiny. So I decided I'd throw some yellow in here. I think I'll do the bottom line so that's closer to his body to brighten that up in yellow. To highlight those lines. Now just finish up the wrist with our purple and blue. I feel like we've got enough green everywhere. highlight these last ones. And once we have these last ones done, you will have couldn't fit another line on that one. You will have a completed peacock. Using your own imagery. And there you have it. Fun.